Welcome. The Civil Service Commission meeting for June 9th is now being called to order. It is 2:00 p.m. And we'll begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that we are on traditional lands of the first people of Seattle, with the Duwamish people past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. We are here to do the work of the Seattle Civil Service Commission, whose responsibility is to ensure that Seattle City workforce reflects the shared values of its community, respect for the indigenous people of this land, and committed to holding each other accountable. Next order of business would be introductions. My name is Ray Caesar, Commissioner.
I'm Mary Weidman-Williams, Mayor Appointed Commissioner.
Denise Wells, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm Andrea Shealy, I'm the Executive Director.
Teresa Jacobs, Executive Assistant.
Sarah Butler, Operations Faculty Advisor.
Joe Levan, Legal Counsel for the Commission.
Denise?
Yeah,
Commissioner Rizek? Great.
Did you guys get me on? Oh, I already introduced myself, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm trying to pull up Teresa's email at the same time as listening. I'm not doing a very good job.
Doing good. Okay, the next order of business, approval of the minutes that were distributed for May the 12th. Are there any corrections to the minutes?
I don't have any.
Hearing none. All those in favor of accepting the minutes for May the 12th, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are adopted. Or, yeah, the minutes are adopted. The next order of business, we'll move into any updates and discussions, and we'll turn over the floor to the Executive Director.
Thank you.
Just real quick, is there any public comment? Can we check on that?
We had notice, right? Or in person.
Great, no public comments. Now we'll begin with the updates and discussions from the Director.
Thank you, Commissioner Caesar. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time and your continued service here today. I also want to thank our staff for their hard work over the past month. I will be happy to provide a staffing update for our department. We have completed the interview process and we made an offer which was accepted for the Senior Exams Analyst position on the Public Safety Exams team. The person who will be starting the position is actually also a current staff person. Her name is Thevia Mogan, who was working as a Public Safety Exams Analyst for the past 9 months, I believe. So we're really excited to see Thevia step up into that new role. And we are starting a new hiring process to replace Thevia. I also want to thank our friends in the fire and police departments who served on those hiring panels and resume review panels for the important senior position. And the work of that position has already been ongoing with our current staff. This will enable us to do yearly firefighter testing, which is a very large process. And that position and additional resources were added in the 25 budget for our department to start conducting that exam annually. We are also onboarding a new intern next week. Annika Peterson will be joining us, and Teresa is managing that onboarding process. She's starting on June 18th, and we expect her to start attending our meetings. So you'll get an opportunity to meet her, and after she has been able to work on her projects for a little while, hopefully she'll be able to share some of that work with you all. Program highlights for our department. We recently completed the civil service exams for police lieutenant and fire lieutenant, and the the register has been published for police lieutenant, though fire lieutenant will come in August. Today we had staff on site administering an exam for fireboat engineer. We're working really hard, seeing the end of the tunnel for promotional testing. That practical exam for fireboat will happen in September. And as our team is launching into developmental committees for the 2026 exam. I have been in conversation with our public safety departments and other stakeholders. As you know, it is budget season. Departments have been sent direction to provide information about what they'll be able to achieve in 2026. And so we've been working with the budget office and talking with our stakeholders about how to hopefully be able to maintain the same levels of service to our partners in other departments.
Are they given a target?
They have. But we would like to be able to sustain levels of funding so that we can continue, building on the achievements and the gains, especially in the police and fire sector in the past year, and hopefully see no reductions to the services to our other departments as well. Our staff is working hard preparing for the fall and winter hearing calendars. You all have a hearing along with you, Commissioner Wells, to hear a matter in December. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the case status report. The Public Safety Civil Service Commission has is it a 4 or 5 day hearing? A 5-day hearing scheduled in September. So we're doing the pre-hearing processes for that hearing now. And as you know, we'll be doing a training next month with you all to talk about hearing processes and preparing for that. The budget update is on the green sheet in your packet. That is page 3. This breaks down to, on the date this was printed, which I believe was possibly, I don't think it's been updated yet for June, probably updated in like late May, because they only run this report about once a month. We were at 38.2% of our spending for the year. That seems really low, but actually it's what we anticipated. We do end up paying on a lot of our consultant contracts in the second half of the year. And I believe the number's a little bit higher because I don't see any labor expenses. Well, I do see labor expenses for May, none for June. But we've also been requested, I'm going to go back to the budget report. We were requested to send underspend plans for 2025. So we've already done that. And those were a 5% non-labor reduction, which we will be able to achieve actually through labor savings, as we've had that one vacant position to this point in the year. So we do have that salary savings to give back to the general fund. And so that's also another reason why that is only at 38.2% of the total budget, is we've had one vacant position out of 10. All right, if it's okay with you, Chair Caesar, I'll move on to the case status update.
Yes.
Okay, and are there any questions from any commissioners at this point?
Nope.
All right, we have one case on our case status update for the Civil Service Commission. That is CSC number 25-01-005A, Brown v. Parks. We held the pre-hearing conference in April. The parties have not come before the commission since that time. They are in the discovery process. And they have not come to ask for any motions or anything like that. So I assume they are just cooking along. Just for your all's information, we do check in with the parties every few months as they head into the hearing process, just to offer additional resources for alternative dispute resolution, offer any kind of support that they may need, just to make sure that they are doing fine. They are proceeding with the processes. And these parties, we have heard that they are moving along just fine. We have the next item on our agenda is number C for Sarah Butler.
So Sarah Butler, I'm the operations and policy advisor. On my plate is outreach for the department, and so I'm just going to provide a very high level overview of outreach. I think it's been about 6 months since the policy was provided. I've had 3 outreach sessions with different stakeholders at the city. We were on board with HR departments, SDHR, which supports close to 20 departments currently, and also SPU, so combined they oversee 2,000 employees, manage their HR issues. The presentation I do is primarily a training, it's an orientation to the civil service system, but it also talks what personal rules are and how those rules support kind of the fundamentals of the civil service. So that was fine. And then there's also, of course, the notification requirements of departments, just so they understand what their responsibilities are for civil service rules. And then the third session I had was a lot of fun for me, and that was BESDOT had a trade show, and so I did tabling at that, and it was in person, and there was about 1,000 city employees there, or those who could not be at work that day. I handed out some one-pagers, had some department swag, and a lot of employees. It was a lot of fun. It was very light to kind of engage with folks. It was also a good opportunity for me to make some connections with other outreach staff at the city and get some ideas. Yeah, so there was that. Otherwise, I continue to kind of do ad hoc consultations with employees and HR staff around the city. I do feel like there's been a little more activity from employees, some calls this year. We've resumed our regular quarterly meetings with our conflict resolution partners in the city. You see some of the folks come in and give presentations. And just kind of out there networking. There's a boards and commissions IDT, talking with other departments on issues that they're having across the city, their boards and commissions. Other than that, big picture website, there is a push through IT to do some shift all of board and commission websites to kind of a template. And so in the process of working with them on how to get all of our content into that, but also be sure it's adapted in a way that works for our department. They've started with the Public Safety Commission, and I imagine it will to this commission with the type codes. And I'm really doing my best to try and get a department page so that we can kind of position ourselves, you know, as a department for city employees. And that's just another thing to mind this easier. So that's the vibe.
I have a question. I'm just curious what kind of things you're hearing when you're out doing outreach, like with the HR community, any feedback or big aha moments that surface from that, and maybe even from the direct contact with employees and tabling.
I know the grievance process is a big question. Please need more information on that. Other than that, I mean, there have just been a small amount of layoffs out there, so folks are wanting information about that.
Yeah, we've always, and you know this, Mary, but we've always sort of, I think as a city, sort of struggled since we've had the step 3 grievance process, that it's just kind of confusing. Because when people think of grievances, it's related to their unions. And so Sarah's working with SHR to hopefully find ways to communicate through both their channels and our channels about what it is. We can't do much about what it actually is other than educate employees and give them that information and as digestible and simple as a form as possible. And I think SHR wants that as well.
And Denise, I'd like to reach out with you and connect, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on outreach as well. Particularly for departments that have a lot of like on-site or not in office environment, you know, best ways to reach them.
Sure,
I don't know.
we can
Hear
chat
about-
sometime.
Okay.
And we have a commissioner who's in of the city department too.
we chatted a couple of times.
Oh, did you guys get to? Good.
Early on. But I was more than happy to talk. The same things that outreach that I hear that you're already doing with the other departments. That's about all.
Or any connections with affinity groups you may have, introductions?
After COVID, 3 days a week in the office. Not too many people around the office anymore.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'll be happy to work with you.
Great. All right, well, if you all have any more questions for us, we're happy to answer them, but that's all we have for you today.
No further questions for the executive director?
I'm sorry, I actually have one more thing. One thing for y'all to consider. We do, and I think Teresa, you might have already sent an email about this, but we do like to give commissioners the option that they, if they have no work to do at a meeting, it's okay to cancel one. And the commission, each commission usually does try to cancel one to give themselves a bit of a break in the summer. You all have a training in July, but we may want to consider canceling August if there are no other appeals to be filed or no other work to be done.
It's good to know.
So we can talk about that soon, closer to the time, and if nothing else has come up, sort of make that call at the time.
Sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
We had. Can you say something? Can you say a few words about that?
So you should have copies of the rules at your place settings. And we spoke staff last week about commissioners just familiarizing yourself with the rules. And also if there are any questions about the layout or any changes, then you can contact Andrea about any rules updates. It's been a while since the rules were last approved. So
Yeah.
for your reading pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, we have been talking a little bit as the staff. So for two reasons, I think one, because you're going into this sort of hearing season. You're gonna have a hearing in December. So, and we're gonna have a training in July. So in advance of that, to take a half an hour and read through these. So you'll be able to jump right in. We'll be talking about more than what's in the rules, talk about some practical skills and practice. But this will be, your guide. And these rules are very old.
2014.
2014. And so Sarah, Teresa, and I have actually been talking about maybe biting that off as a project in the next year or so. To review them, revamp them. Are they still meeting your needs? Lots of things have changed about the way we work, the way we do hearings since 2014. So they probably are about due for an update. And it would probably be a big chunk of work to bite off, but I think it could be really valuable and helpful. Also to think about it from our various, audiences. You all use these rules. The public can read and understand the work of the commission through these rules, and our employees use these rules. And they're, the employer, the parties in an appeal. And so Sarah and I and Teresa have been thinking and talking a little bit about how to make these, useful for all of these audiences.
And the steps for since you will be conducting a hearing, the information is in there on the process of the hearing, the steps. As far as when the decision needs to go out to the parties and a review of the decision by the commissioners.
So that's not a process we would probably definitely not be able to complete before the hearing in December. So these would be the rules for that, but maybe also a good launching time in 2026 to do that body of work.
So for now, this is
it for now.
Pre-training review.
Yeah.
You don't expect us to give you any substantive comments or anything
No.
for development of.
Yeah, if you're reading through them and something catches your eye, you just want to make a note about it.
Yeah.
This is
Later
just
on.
to be- Okay.
Yeah.
And
This will be our
and
rules.
And it might be helpful after we do this hearing to then apply what we've learned to the rules.
Yeah, you'll have a lot of experience with them.
Well, did we get those electronically yet?
Yeah, they're on our website and we
That's
can
what I
email
thought.
you the link.
Yeah, they're on the, I can find them on the website. I think I've seen them there before. I was just double checking.
Yeah. These folks were commissioners long ago, Eric De Los Santos, Angelique Davis, and Stephen Jewell.
10 years ago.
Do some of those
11
people.
years ago.
Angelique was on the commission when I
Yes, she
was
was.
appointed.
Yes, she was. And Stephen Jewell was a longtime city labor negotiator.
It seems so far that compared to the public safety civil service over the last few years, that these may be from 2014, but they seem to be well considered. Because we've had occasion with the public safety civil service where we need to make some changes. And there hasn't been anything glaring that's come up, I don't think, in the last couple of years.
Yeah. One of the differences, I think I agree with that. And I think one of the differences between these rules and their rules is that their rules cover a vast number of types of things like preference points, the whole testing body of work. But yeah, the public safety civil service rules have probably been updated, not overall, but like a rule here and there, probably 3 times in the past 3 years, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, plus the personnel rules kind of govern what goes on otherwise.
That's right.
So there's a lot, those are kind of incorporated by reference. Whereas the public safety civil service has to be a lot more detailed because it's not covered that way.
That's right.
But nothing's ever perfect, so there's always opportunities to make it better.
Yes.
So right now it seems pretty ironclad, but I'll look at this.
Great. And I mean, just read it casually. You're not just read it with some attention, but fairly casually. You're not studying it. You'll always have these as a reference. Joe is always a reference. I'm always a reference. So you don't need to know these by heart. Just familiarize yourself with them. Okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Director Shelley. Is there next item of business? Next item of business? Anything for the good of the order?
Nothing for me.
No, can you hear a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the June meeting of the Civil Service Commission.
Motion has been made to adjourn the meeting for the June 9th Civil Service Commission.
I
All those in
second
favor
the
say
motion. Aye.
Second, thank you.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Are there any no's? Hearing none, no, we are adjourned.
Oh, yeah, I'll see you guys in July.
Yeah, and then
And it's now 2:23.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.